Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Week 12 WNAP Sports Spotlight. We are deep into playoffs. Still a lot of teams remain here in the Super 16. Once again, I am Sports Director Steve Lloyd. Joining us, Courtney Harrison, Eve Hernandez. We are super excited for this week. And right off the bat, our WNAP game of the week, it will be Scranton Prep taking on Berwick. We'll talk about that game a little bit later in the show, but we're going to start in Single A, the District 211 Sub-Regional, Tri-Valley at Lackawanna Trail. That is a championship game. Isaac Ryan, he's got 39 touchdowns on the season, and they haven't lost since the loss to Berwick way back earlier in the season, 33-12. That was back on September 5th. So Tri-Valley coming in after that 3-zip win over Marian Catholic and taking on a very dangerous Lions team with Isaac Ryan. You got to stop him.
Absolutely, and you got to put up points. There's no excuse. I understand, like last week, lots of teams struggled with the wind and the cold weather, but this is the week. If you want to play in this championship game and win, you got to put up the points, and hopefully they can at least make it a good game this week.
Yeah, another very long bus ride. So that bus ride will go from Hagen's, which is down 81 South, all the way up to Factoryville to take on Coach Jervis's team. What do you think of that game, Eve?
That's going to be, like you said, Courtney, you're going to need to score a lot of points. I saw Lackawanna Trail play last week over Nativity, and it took one play for Isaac Ryan to go down the field like 60 yards for a touchdown. They were up 21-0 in the first quarter. You need to score a lot of points, and this is a team that has a lot of playoff experience. They play in a lot of big games over the last couple of years, too, which is a big advantage for them going into the playoffs, playing against other teams that maybe don't have that experience. Trail knows what they're doing. They know the stakes of this game.
And then the other game in Single A, it's out in District 4. It's Line Mountain. They had a bye last week. They will take on Montgomery. That is for the District 4 Single A championship. Montgomery beat Muncie while Line Mountain was off. Caden Maurer, the quarterback for the Eagles, close to 1,900 yards passing. He's got 29 TDs for head coach Brandon Carson. So the Eagles looking to get into the playoffs and make some noise.
Man, they've been a great team throughout the season. They're big, they're tough, and they have proven themselves to be here. Montgomery as well. Montgomery's had a great season so far. So I think this will be one of those exciting games this week.
Yeah, definitely. If we're speaking about Montgomery real quick, Chase Furman, Josh Nobel, both over 1,000 rushing yards this season. This is the first time in a long time Montgomery has been playing 10 wins. They're in the playoffs here for playing for a championship game. It's a long time coming. Their defense has posted 4 shutouts this season, and their defense has only allowed 56 points to opponents all year long. Line Mountain is a high-scoring team, but Montgomery's defense is going to, have something to show for this game versus Line Mountain. We kind of all expected Line Mountain to take this one early in the year, but this is going to be an interesting game, I think.
So that's a wrap from Single A. We're now going to move to the 2A division, and in District 2, Dunmore at Lakeland. That's a championship game. Chiefs quarterback David Nanowitz has thrown for 1,500 yards, rushed for 800. The Bucks quarterback Weston Yanoni, 800 rush yards, 600 in the air, along with Ryan Mecca and Xavier Burke. The winner of that game gets Lansdale Catholic or Bristol. So a big game next week for the winner of the District 2 game, and that game is up at Chapman Lake.
Yeah, this is a rematch of Week 6. Lakeland beat Dunmore in Week 6. Man, Nanowitz has been, as you said, you rattled off some of his numbers. He's combined 26 touchdowns. And Gavin Roberts is also have a great season. 10 touchdowns, 644 yards at running back. So Lakeland's offense has really, really proven themselves. But, the Bucks have really come on late in the season. They're doing well. I think they're peaking at the right time.
Obviously, Film and the coaching staffs, 2 great staffs there. For Piowarski and McHale, and they all have a game plan ready, and that should be a doozy of a game up there.
Yeah, definitely. You talk about, Yanoni for Dunmore coming over from Susquehanna, transferring this year, starting at quarterback, starting at safety. He's been doing a lot of good things for them. Talk about Dunmore getting to this point here. They've had, kind of a slow start to the season, but getting that win over Riverside and, being here in the championship game to play with Lakeland, they deserve to be here, and they're going to be a tough beat. They're not going to be a rollover team.
Mm-hmm.
Out in District 4, 2A semis, it's Bloom at Southern Columbia. The Tigers beat the Panthers the first time around, 61-zip. Braden Andrews, the running back, with 1,000 yards and 14 touchdowns for the Tigers. And then they also have Joey Williams and Grady Garcia running the ball there for the 10-1 Southern Columbia Tigers. Coach Kogut, Probably going to look at that film and adjust a few things, but they got to stop the Tigers running game.
Yeah, and that Tigers running game has been so great this season. They are the Tigers of yesteryear and of late. And last year, I think Coach Rothblatt probably wants to just erase that one off the history books. But man, they're looking great so far this season.
Yeah, they are. They got a shutout win over Bloomsburg last time they played a couple of weeks ago. Like you said, they'll be looking at the film, try to do some things different. We'll see what Bloom can do to change up some things. But Southern, like you said, they're the Southern of yesteryear. They've been running all over these teams. Ray Andrews, Grady Garcia, Joey Williams have been a great trio back there. And their defense is probably what impresses me the most about this team.
And the winner between Bloomsburg and Southern, Troy and Warrior Run, they will meet each other next week. Could be the Tigers and Troy rematch. Troy beat the Tigers last year, went on to win the AA state championship game. So Troy on the road and looking to beat Warrior Run, but the Defenders have a pretty good team.
I was just going to say, the Defenders look like Troy last year.
Wow.
They are on a 7-game winning streak after beating South Williamsport last week, and this is the first team in school history to earn 10 wins and the very first time to getting a spot in the semifinals. Wow. They're running on all cylinders. James Kiefer looks great when he gets there and he gets space in the pocket and he can just throw it downfield. He throws the missiles. So, I think Warrior Run looks a lot like Troy, and I think they'll give him a good game.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about 22 passing touchdowns for Kiefer this season, 1,233 rushing yards for Denon Beachel. He's also been a big part of their offense. They're very balanced. They can run it down the field, or they can, get those big plays downfield too. This is going to be Troy's toughest test this season. I'm very interested to see how they respond to this test.
We stay in 2A. District 11, Northern Lehigh is at Schuylkill Haven. That's a semifinal game. Saturday, 6 o'clock. Haven coming off the 62-14 win over Catasauqua. Colton Reber, 2,268 yards rushing. He's got 31 TDs. And we also have to add in their teammates Nico Castillo and Nico Carastilla. And that offensive line has just been a juggernaut for Coach Mike Farr. And they have another home playoff game down there at Rotary Field.
Yeah, Schuylkill Haven being the 1 seed facing the 4 seed here in this one. That three-headed monster. I'm looking for those three running backs to really put on a show here this Friday night.
Yeah, good for them to get Carastilla back in the lineup, especially down for the playoffs here. They're gonna need him, to get through these state, power teams. It's gonna be hard when you get these different teams in the playoffs. Northern Lehigh probably not as hard of an opponent. I would kind of expect this three-headed monster in the backfield to kind of run over Northern Lehigh here. But this is a team that's been strong all season. These 2A teams, we got a lot of really good 2A teams, but Schuylkill Haven's probably one of the best ones.
Mm-hmm.
So we're at the 7th of 17 games we're previewing here. The other game in 2A in District 11, Minersville at Williams Valley. That's a semifinal game. Also Saturday night at 6. Minersville lost 43-40 the first time around against the Vikings. Dante Carr, listen to these stats. 26 touchdowns in the air for 1,600 yards. He's rushed for another 1252 and 18 TDs. His favorite target is Peyton LaPointe. For Williams Valley, they got Brady Schomper. He's a Super 16 Dream Teamer. Evan Achenbach, and then Fletcher Thompson. That's going to be a shootout down there in Williamstown at that stadium. Probably standing room only to see those two teams play once again.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we could probably have 7 games of the week, if I'm being honest. This is probably another one that, people in District 11 are looking at.
Oh, yeah.
This will be our District 11 game of the week. Man, it was back and forth the first time they faced each other back in week 4. This game is going to be super exciting. I'm looking forward to seeing who comes out on top, who has the ball in the very last minutes of the game is what's going to matter.
Exactly. Go ahead, sorry.
I know Dante's committed, and Penn State doesn't have an official coach yet, but why some of these schools up here in the Northeast aren't looking at Dante Carr just blows my mind. A special athlete, certainly athletic. He's also good on the basketball court, but what is he, 6'6"?
6'6", yeah. He's 6'6", 200 pounds. Yeah, and he doesn't move like it at all, though.
Who wouldn't want him at quarterback?
I know, and later on when we talk about what he did this past week, impressive stuff. I saw some stuff on Twitter that we didn't get in our highlights, and holy mackerel.
Yeah, you don't want him to have the ball in his hands at the end of this game.
Now we switch to 3A in District 2, our WNEP game of the week. Scranton Prep down there at Berwick. That is a championship game. Ty Wilkerson, he set the Berwick single-season rushing record last week. He's now got 2,659 yards rushing, 39 TDs. He went past Brant quick, and Prep has won the last 4 district titles. So Prep has been very impressive. Obviously, they lost to North Pocono there, but knocking off Wyoming area.
That was huge.
Beating a really good Jersey Shore team pretty handily, and now they're going down to the dog pound to try to stop Ty Wilkerson. I'm sure head coach Terry Gallagher and his staff are going to have a game plan against Ty.
Yeah, I mean, they had a game plan last week, and it was just run it, because you couldn't throw it. It was too windy, but, man, they were impressive last week. Defense is going to be key to this game for Prep. You have to shut down Ty Wilkerson. That's the only way that you're going to get that 5th straight district title, and Berwick is not going to want to give that one up.
Yeah, I think 2020 was COVID, so they won one in 21, 22, 23, and then obviously 24. So they're looking for 5 in a row, like you said, Courtney.
Yeah, and getting it against Berwick is going to be a really tough test. This team has been, doing great things all season, especially with Ty Wilkerson. But Prep is a team that plays really hard. We've seen them some really impressive wins throughout the season so far. Coach Gallagher has those guys playing well, especially here at the end of the season. They know that this is the most important time. They got to be on their game right now, and they have been the last couple of weeks. A 42-0 win over Wyoming area. Wyoming area is a very good team, but that was a really impressive win by Prep. They're going to need to do it again here against Berwick.
Yeah, and Courtney, you were down there, a couple McPartland kids in action.
Yeah, absolutely. Will McPartland is he's really found his groove, I think, this time of the year. You've got Braden as well. Braden made a huge run down the sidelines to get a big first down and put it down in Warrior territory last week. So I think that they've got it figured out. Like I said, they were 5-5 coming into last week. I don't think their record reflects the kind of team that they are and the team that they have become. They're healthy, they're powerful, and they're hungry.
We move out to District 4. We stay in 3A. Montoursville is going to be at Mifflinburg. That is a championship game. The first meeting, it was all Wildcats, 35-7. Quarterback Chad Martin, he's got 2,200 yards, passing 28 touchdowns. Landon Mosier is the running back, along with Seth Hartman, and Landon Murray is the wide receiver. The winner of that game will play the winner of Prep and Berwick. Obviously, championship games there, and then you get into the state playoffs. But Montoursville playing some good football, and Mifflinburg having an outstanding season also.
Mifflinburg seeking its first district title. And I think they've got the pieces to put it together. The Warriors are coming off a very exhausting 3-overtime game. I think they need the time to reset. But man, I think this Mifflinburg team is hungry. And after beating them the first time around, I think they're going to look to do that again.
Yeah, Mifflinburg's only 2 losses this season to Southern Columbia and to Hollidaysburg. We know Hollidaysburg is a great team out there in District 6, but that Southern Columbia game was a grindy defensive battle the whole time. And I remember, Courtney, you talking to me when you went to Mifflinburg a couple weeks ago. You're like, Chad Martin is huge. I didn't realize how big he was either. Really good quarterback for Mifflinburg on that side of the ball, too. He's really impressive all season, but this is going to be, probably a grinded-out game. Mifflinburg is one of those top teams, I think, in District 4, kind of right around that Southern tier, around that Jersey Shore kind of tier. Really, really good team. This is going to be an interesting one, I think.
And then going to District 11, staying in 3A, the other part of the bracket, Tamaqua is taking on Notre Dame Green Pond. That game is at Lafayette College. It's a semifinal game. The Blue Raiders coming off that win over Saucon Valley, 21-15. So a big win there for the Blue Raiders, but they're going to have their hands full against Notre Dame Green Pond.
Yeah, Notre Dame Green Pond. We haven't really talked about them a lot this year, but they've had some big wins when it mattered, and I think they're just kind of sneaking in. I think Tamaqua's going to have their hands full.
That's a great place to play down there at Lafayette College there in Easton.
Yeah, definitely. I think Tamaqua kind of sneaking in there, too. That's also a team that we haven't talked about too much this season, but they also had a couple of impressive wins kind of late in the year also. But this game versus Notre Dame Green Pond is going to be, a good one for them to try to get, a little bit further down in the playoffs here. Semifinal game, really big game for both teams. We'll see what the Red Raiders can do in this one, or the Blue Raiders, excuse me.
And then the other game in 3A, North Schuylkill, the Spartans are at Northwestern Lehigh, semifinal game. Northwestern Lehigh, the defending state champions. The Spartans are now very respectable with a record of 8-3 with quarterback Caden Mengel. Wally Hall, head coach, he's really kind of turned this program around from that first week loss to Mount Carmel, along with running back Luke Miller. He had 166 yards rushing last week with Panther Valley. So the winner of Tamaqua, Notre Dame Green Pond, and North Schuylkill, Northwestern Lehigh, they will play each other next week.
Yeah, and I think whoever makes it out of this game will have the upper hand on that Notre Dame Green Pond Tamaqua winner. Northwestern Lehigh is a tough team, and as the reigning champs, North Schuylkill's going to have their hands full. I think if they can get Luke Miller the ball and get him space, they'll have a chance.
Yeah, Northwestern Lehigh, going to be a really tough beat for anyone, but they're really, really top, good team in 3A there. But like you said, with North Schuylkill, they have a really good offensive line. It's a senior-led offensive line. Aiden Zilker is someone who I've talked to a couple of times. He's committed to the University of Temple. He was really good in track and field. He does shot put and stuff. But him and the other offensive linemen trying to make room for Luke Miller. Luke Miller just needs a little crack, just a little seam, and he's gone. That's all that they need. So if they can run the ball in this game, that's kind of be their ticket to success.
Now on to Game 12, District 2, 4A, Dallas at North Pocono. That's a championship game. Quarterback Chase Zimmerman, he's been solid all season long for head coach Greg Dolan, Cole West, the game breaker, and Randy Wolf. Coming over from Western Wayne, he's been running that Trojans defense for Coach Dolan. And Josiah Gray was back last week, and we have talked about Joe Brisky. If they're at full strength, Coach Manello in Dallas, they're certainly going to have their hands full. This is a rematch from earlier in the season where North Pocono kind of handily took care of the Mountaineers.
Yeah, and North Pocono has been doing all right. Joe Brisky's been out with injury. I think the competition they faced, Delaware Valley, they didn't have him with Delaware Valley. Great game, they still pulled out a win. I think, now here's the question, do you let Joe Brisky take one more week to get healthy, pull out a win, and then wait to put him in next week? That's the question, and that's only a question that I think Coach Dolan can answer.
Yeah, and if North Pocono can get past Dallas here, Dallas, wants to play for district champions, and, they're here. They made it here at the end of the season, which maybe we didn't think, at the beginning of the season, but if they can get past this team, they got either Pope John Paul or Bishop Shannon after this game, and they're a team that could compete with teams like Pope John Paul. They're a very good team, but North Pocono is also a very good team, one of our undefeated teams here, and if they could get Brisky back too, they're going to be, full strength going into the rest of the season here. We'll see, how that progresses.
We stay in 4A and now District 4, Jersey Shore at Shamokin championship game. The winner plays Juniata or Bellefonte. Bo Seacrest, 6 rushing TDs last week for the Bulldogs. That is a school record. 43-42 win in overtime during the regular season for the Indians. Last year, Shamokin won 30-28 and then 28-27 in the playoffs. In 2023, it was all Jersey Shore, 42-7. So Shamokin and Coach Persing have really kind of switched the script on beating Jersey Shore. And Logan Steele, I was looking at the stats. Not too many stats jump out, but 6 INTs for Logan Steele. And he's certainly going to be a ball hawk back there once again. But Eva, I think you're going down there for that one.
Yeah.
And Kemp Memorial is going to be packed again.
Oh, man, it is going to be packed again. You said some of the stats don't jump out for Logan Steele. It's because Shamokin did such a good job this season of spreading the ball around, multiple guys getting on in the action. But I know for Jersey Shore, Tom Gravish is not going to want to lose this game for a fourth time in 2 years. These teams have played 4 times. It's going to be the 4th time in the last 2 years. But, man, that's going to be a really difficult one. These two teams, it's such a high-stakes game for both of these teams. It's come down to the wire every time the last couple of the seasons. Tom Gravish has said that he just can't let Logan Steele make that play at the end of the game like he has the last couple of times that they played. So we'll see what Jersey Shore has, in store defensive-wise to stop Steele.
We've talked about the Shamokin-Mount Carmel rivalry for the coal bucket. I think this has become the new rivalry. It's always exciting. You never know what's going to happen. You're going to get big plays. And like you said, it comes down to the wire. I think this will be another great one this week.
And then in District 11, 4A, Blue Mountain is at Southern Lehigh. That is a semifinal game. That's a Thursday night game at 6:30. And the winner of that game will play Becca or Allentown Central Catholic. So Blue Mountain and the Eagles. Coach Kutz coming back in there, running that wing T years ago. And he really had success way back in the day, and then kind of left, and now he's back, and we'll see what game plan he can put together against Southern Lehigh.
Yeah, I think Blue Mountain has been another lingering down in there. They're still on our radar, but I think they're going to have their hands full this week. This 4A is so tough when you get to this point in the season, and hopefully Blue Mountain can put it together and pull it out.
Yeah, kudos to Blue Mountain for, kind of pulling it together. They had some struggles in the beginning of the season, but, new head coach, they got some new players, they got some younger team than they're used to, but, they're able to pull it together, get to this point of the season. But as you said, Southern Lehigh, a very tough team to beat. They've had a great season, too.
And as we move on to 5A in District 2, Delaware Valley, Coach Olsemer and the Warriors, they're going to be up at Abington Heights taking on Coach Rep. That's a championship game. Quarterback Nick Bradley had that slight broken hand and a cast that's been removed. He played last week, returned to the lineup. The winner of that game is going to get Hollidaysburg or Du Bois. And Eve, you were there last week and saw Nick play a little bit after being up at Trail. And Abington Heights looking for another district championship.
Yeah, definitely. It was good to catch up with Nick Bradley after the game. So, see how he was feeling. He said he feels great, that he was able to get back in the lineup, and that he was really happy to play. He was really happy to be back out there. And that game versus Wyoming Valley West, they had a really big second quarter. Nick Bradley and the team to, get the points going in that one. That was a very good game for Abington Heights getting the win there. But playing DV is going to be a close game, probably. DV has been a very interesting team this season, kind of up and down, been in a lot of big games, beat some teams, but this is going to be an interesting one. And I think as Nick Bradley went out in that game versus Delaware Valley earlier in this season, and DV was able to pull off the win in that one.
Yeah, I think this, like you said, going back to that game, I think there's a lot of I don't want to call it animosity, but the rivalry. I think this is still going to be another good game. Both teams really want this badly, and I think Abington Heights wants that back.
And then down in District 11, 5A, Pocono Mountain East. How about them playing here in Week 12? They're down at Whitehall. That's a championship game. At Catasauqua, that's a Saturday night game at 6 p.m. And all season long, we've talked about Amari Green, CJ Surface, and Justin Williams doing that backflip running out there for the opening run out. Pretty impressive athleticism. And, congrats to Pocono Mountain East. Not too many football teams are still playing. And the Cardinal, they're one of them.
Yeah, the Cardinals, we've also had them on our radar as well. Watching Amari Green do what he does all season long, I'm sure they're super happy to have him on all cylinders. CJ Surface as well, doing great things for this team. We'll see how they fare against Whitehall, a pretty good Whitehall team.
Yeah, and if you win that game, you either get the Roman Catholic or the Public League champion. So 5A is brutal. As we move into the 6A bracket, District 2-4, it's a sub-regional. Williamsport, the Millionaires, Coach Pearson coming over to take on Coach Cinti and the Wolfpack of Wilkes-Barre. Quarterback Jay Cal trying to get a final win at home down there in their beautiful brand new football stadium.
Yeah, and Jake Howe, I've seen him play a couple times, in person. He's surgical with his throws. He can make the throws and the passes when he needs to. So Williamsport's defense is really going to have to show up and kind of shut down that portion of the offense.
Yeah, Williamsport has actually played pretty well against District 2 teams so far this season. Credit to Coach Pearson scheduling all these District 2 teams, because when you get to this point in the playoffs, you get the sub-regional versus District 2. But they've already beaten Scranton this season. They've already beaten Wyoming Valley West and the Hazleton area. So they've beaten all the District 2 teams and the Wilkes-Barre area once already this season. Williamsport got the win. Tevin Williams had a really great game last week. Very athletic kid at quarterback for Williamsport. This is going to be another good game. It was pretty close the last time that they played, so we'll see what the Wolfpack, has in store as a game plan.
All right, that's a breakdown from the first block and the 17 games, all those district championship and district semifinals. When we come back, we'll look back at Week 11, some of the playoff action from last week, right here on the Sports Spotlight. Don't go anywhere.
The Wilkes-Barre Scranton International Airport, AVP, is your gateway to everywhere. Start here with safe, convenient, terminal-connected parking, quick check-in, and short lines at TSA. Fly on American, United, or Breeze Airways and connect to destinations throughout the USA. You can go nonstop to Chicago, Washington, D.C., Philly, or Charlotte. It's that easy. When you return, there's quick baggage claim and parking nearby. You're on your way faster at AVP.
All right, welcome back to the WNEP Sports Spotlight. We're going to rip through some of the games from Week 11. The first game was Warrior Run over South Williamsport, 41-7. Tyler Ulrich, then James Kiefer to Liam Moore, and Kiefer to Maxwell Fogelman. The defenders, boy, they just rolled over the Mounties there. Big win for them, 41-7. That was a great game. Yeah,
Kiefer threw the ball a lot in this game, which is odd considering how windy it was. He went 12 for 15, 148 yards, 3 touchdowns. Man, it worked in his favor. He's another one that can put the ball in play where it needs to be, and it was exciting to watch. Yeah, and a big game for them at their brand new complex. They put a lot of money into the school district out there. Still renovations continuing. They're adding on even more, so fans really enjoying that, and I know that the kids do too. So, shout out to the administration and the school district there at Warrior.
Yeah, Warrior Run putting up a great season, and the Mounties also putting up a good season too, getting to this point, 6-5 on the season. But they had, a pretty good win there. But Warrior Run, a tough team to beat to get the win in that one. But they've been doing some really good things this season over in District 4. They're one of the stronger teams, I think, too. I'm going to be interested to see what they do in the rest of the playoffs here.
And then the next game, Abington Heights, those Comets over Wyoming Valley West, 53-7. And the Wyoming Valley West coach has announced his resignation. So the Spartans will be looking for a new leader in the offseason. Anthony Severs with a big run late in the game for the Comets. And a nice win for Coach Rep up there at not Spartan Stadium, but up there at Comet Stadium at the high school.
Yeah, I think they really wanted to put the exclamation point on this one. Valley West has been down this year. They've had a tough time getting things going, getting any wins. I don't think Abington really had to worry about. This was actually probably a really great game for Nick Bradley to come back into. That's not saying anything bad about the Spartans, but Abington Heights was the better team coming in, and I think this is a good ease back in for Nick Bradley. Now we'll have to turn it around for another week.
And Eve, you were there.
Yeah, I was there, and like I said, a really big second quarter for Abington Heights, putting a lot of points up. They actually also had 2 safeties in this game. At the end of the first quarter, it was kind of a slower. Like you said, it was windy, it was pretty cold. The wind was definitely a factor in the game, I think, for the offense. But Abington Heights getting able to put 2 safeties that I was able to see was something I don't think I've ever seen in a football game. But that was interesting. But they had, they were kind of clicking on all cylinders. Good for Nick Bradley to get back. They kept him in the game after the first drive of the second half. So that's when they took him out of the game. But get him, some into the rhythm, get him some more of the experience as they get into the postseason here. And of course, he's been gone for the last few weeks, but they didn't really seem like it. They were clicking on all cylinders.
So let's hear from Nick Bradley and head coach Joe Repchus. Eve interviewed them after the game.
The team did great today. We played really well. It feels so nice to be able to get back and help my team get to win and get back to the district championship like we did last year, and hopefully give it a run and just see how far we can make it.
We're still trying to get better as a football team. Want to come out here and execute on all 3 phases of the game, play complementary football, and I thought we did that for the most part today. So things to get better at, and but we're excited to be back and playing for a district championship.
All right, thanks, guys, and good luck this week against Delaware Valley. The next game in Torresville, thriller over in Mount Carmel, a triple overtime game, and in the end it was the Warriors 43-42 in that one. Eli Eck, the Warrior quarterback, he had a great game along with the rest of his teammates, and that was one that they're going to remember down there in Torresville for a while. I'm sure Mount Carmel's going to look at that game in the offseason and just kind of wonder, when the wheels fell off the wagon.
Well, it came down to special teams. Mount Carmel's special teams blocked a kick to send it into overtime. 3 overtimes later, both teams really wanted. Both teams came out to score, but Montoursville blocking the extra point in the 3rd overtime and then going down and scoring, the touchdown and then hitting the extra point. It came down to special teams and, not giving up, giving it all to the very last second.
It's interesting when you go out to some of the practices and the sessions that they have. Some of the teams, I'm not going to name any of the teams, special teams and kicking is the first thing they work on.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Other schools, it's the last thing they work on.
Yeah, that is true.
So that played a big part in the win there for the Warriors.
Yeah, blocked extra point to get the win in 3 overtimes. Man, these boys were really tired, but kudos to the Warriors to going down the field at the end in the 3rd overtime to still get that touchdown and then hit the extra point. Mount Carmel is a team that's really big up front on both sides of the ball. They bully you and they push you around, but the Warriors able to get the win in that one in a very long game. But like you said, Courtney, they're going to need their rest for their next opponent this week.
And then Courtney was able to make the trip down to West Pittston, got through the Halloween parade there in Exeter and West Pittston. A big night for the trick-or-treaters. Scranton Prep 42-zip win over Wyoming area. A.J. Kroom had an INT, and then we've talked about Will McPartland and Braden, and then Noah Kriswick also. He's been in the highlights lately. So the Cavaliers just kind of rolling on. That was not a surprise that they won, but maybe the score and the lopsided score.
Yeah, I right out of the gate, A.J. Kroom with that interception, Jack Ravine throwing into the wind.
It was windy.
I'm sure he beat himself up about that a while because he was throwing into the wind and it just kind of went up and it just kind of stopped there and came down. It was like 5 or 7 yards short of where he was even intending it to go. And then the Cavaliers go down and score a touchdown. They had a couple great plays on defense. The Warriors had a couple great plays on defense. You think, okay, couldn't capitalize. I just think nothing rolled past where they needed it to go. But getting shut out, that was a tough one for the Warriors. I'm sure they're gonna sit on that one and be a little upset for a little while.
And then the next game, Lackawanna Trail over Nativity, 50-6. We've been talking about Isaac Ryan now all season long. He breaks the single-season rushing record. He's got 2,312 yards rushing this season. If we got the calculator out, I don't know how many times up and down the field that is.
That's a lot.
50, maybe? I don't know. We don't have to calculate that. But Eve, you were up there. I mean, their line is just so physical, and Coach Jervis just has a great system, and those kids run it to perfection.
They run it to perfection. You talk about Tyler Jervis coming in for Steve Jervis before the quarterback before him. They're brothers, obviously, but Tyler getting, senior years, first year stepping in at quarterback, and he learned from his brother before him. He learned from his dad, obviously, how to run the offense, and they do a very good job. And when you've got some of the guys that they have, you talk about Isaac Ryan. I was there I had to get to the Abington Heights game, so I was at Lackawanna Trail for about a quarter, but I saw Isaac Ryan score 3 times in that quarter that I was there. He's just so fast, and that line, they're also just bullies. They will push you around, and like I said before, they know what they're doing. They know what's at stake. They know exactly where they're supposed to be and when they're supposed to be there. They're a really tough team to beat, especially in single A. They're going to probably make a good run here.
And then our photographer, Dan Taransky, he's been all over the map this season. He was down in hometown for the Marian Catholic 3-zip loss to Tri-Valley. Carter Troutman played a great defensive game for the Bulldogs. Our play of the week is going to be coming up here soon. But, Tri-Valley having a pretty nice season. They win the District 11 Single A championship, and now they're in that sub-regional game versus us.
Yeah, that's the point there. But kudos to Dan, because Dan stuck it out until the fourth quarter to be able to get what we're getting to in this play of the week. But man, Tri-Valley's really got to ramp up the offense after this one. I think maybe maybe the weather, the wind, you never know. But big defensive game. Kudos to both teams on defense.
And then the Trojans of Troy, a big 49-8 win over Wellsboro. And we're going to courtesy the video, WENY TV up there. We thank them for sending us down some highlights of Mason Smith, another big night for the Trojans, and his dad. They're just, Jim, they're rolling along, and obviously they want to get back to Cumberland Valley, but a little more roadblocks to get through until they get there.
Yeah, the Northern Tier League has been impressive. I think Troy put them on the map last year. They had some great teams up there. Athens was a good team this year. We'll see how they can fare this week.
A couple years ago up there for practice, Coach Smith breaking a rib.
What?
In some of the video, he was playing like inside linebacker, and one of the kids hit him, and
wow.
They texted me when I left, and they're like, "Coach broke a rib."
Wow.
So they were taking him, but he healed up and went on to win a state title. So I guess that's what it takes to win a state title.
Going all out.
You got to break a little rib.
Well, that and he watches the game from up in the press, like up above the press box. He doesn't coach from the sidelines, so he sees something, things differently than maybe other teams, other coaches do.
Interesting.
Next game, North Pocono over Crestwood, 42-21. I was up there. It was one of the more windy games I've ever been at. And they were still passing the ball. Crestwood was.
I don't know how you do it.
And they almost completed a few passes, but I couldn't believe it into the wind. In the kicking game, too, pretty amazing the flight of the football in the cold and the wind that night.
Well, and that's why it's so important to be able to have offense that can play on both sides of the ball. You can run, you can throw. When you can't run, you can throw. When you can't throw, you got to be able to run.
Right.
And that was key this week for lots of teams.
Yeah, they were able to use Josiah Gray early in that game. He had a big night rushing. Obviously up there in Moscow, and they'll be home for a district championship game. Crowd was down a little bit. Don't blame people for not coming out.
And it was Halloween too.
Oh yeah, good
guess
point.
they're expecting a little rain up there on Friday, but we'll see if the fans can come out and support the Trojans. It'll be the last game at home this season.
Yeah, and then what a season they've had, for sure, undefeated still.
Yeah. Now we have the WNEP Play of the Week.
Well, we finally got a kicker in here. And kudos to Nate Hillard. A 50-yard field goal into the wind, going up 3-0 over Marian Catholic. This set a new record. It broke the school record. I think it was previously set at 47 yards in the 1977-78 season. Man, big kick. Great for him. And we love to have the support of the kickers here. 50 yards, impressive.
And then Coach Sampson got the cold bucket.
The Gatorade.
My.
I felt so bad for Coach Sampson when I saw that. I was like, oh no. know. I hope he ran right in and changed his clothes because it was cold. But, your adrenaline's running. Maybe he didn't feel it.
You do all that film work and all that prep. I'm sure that the plan was not to win 3-0, but they'll take it for a District 11 title.
We always see NFL games coming down to kickers and relying on the kickers. Nate Hillard pulled it off.
There you go, Nate Hillard.
He's the player of the year for Tri-Valley, I think.
Congratulations, Nate Hillard, on your play of the week.
All right. Well, obviously, kudos to him, and maybe he's in the running for the play of the year. We'll see. We're gonna sling those all together.
Yep.
I don't know how many I guess we have 11 so far. So 12 will be.
Actually, 12. We had two. We had
two plays of the week.
3 last week.
Oh, yeah. So we're off here. We
yeah.
got a lot of plays, but this one's all very good.
So with the 17 games coming up this weekend, hopefully we can find another great play of the week. So congratulations to Nate. When we come back, we'll go back to the 1986 Williamsport Millionaires football team. Grady Walker, Gary Brown, Tim Montgomery, the head coach, and Alan Eck. And if that name sounds familiar, it's not because he was the quarterback at Williamsport or Bloomsburg University, but he's on Sundays. He's an NFL referee. Mm-hmm. He's one of the 17 in the NFL, and he has worked his way to the top. And I'm telling you, he's going to be doing a Super Bowl soon. So that's really, really cool. So we're gonna look at that story when we come back. We're also gonna look at the sports finale from Week 11 that James Pennington put together. Next on the Sports Spotlight. Don't go away. All right, welcome back to the WNAP Sports Spotlight. I'm Sports Director Steve Lloyd. Courtney Harrison to my right, Eve Hernandez to my left. We love these video vaults. This one's going to be from 1986. The reporter is Albie Oxenrider. It's team number 3, and I don't believe they called it the Super 16 back in 1986. You'll hear it in the story, but in there we have Williamsport head football coach Tim Montgomery in the backfield. We have Alan Eck at quarterback. He's now an NFL referee. You probably see Alan on some of the major networks, whether he's doing a Thursday night game, Monday night game, or any of those Sunday games. He is at the top of his profession and one of the best NFL referees going. And hopefully at some point, Alan and his crew can do a Super Bowl. I know he's done some stuff when he wasn't the referee on some of the crews. He's done some of the NFC Championship games. I know he's done some Eagles NFC Championship games. But congrats to Alan. Heck of a run, bud, and congrats to you. Then there's Gary Brown. He was the one running back. Gary passed away in 2022 and recently went into the PA Sports Hall of Fame with MLB pitcher Steve Klein. And then Gary's teammate back in 1986 that you're going to see here in a second is Greg Walker. So people are saying Gary Brown is probably one of the best running backs obviously out there in Lake Cumming County ever, maybe one of the best running backs in the state to ever come out. He had a great career in the NFL, and obviously he played for Coach Paterno at Penn State and played both sides of the football, by the way. He was a great safety and a running back.
Well,
yeah, and you went deep into the vault this week. 1986.
Yeah.
Pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome to see. This is going to be a cool story, too. It's like so many roots from football come from here in PA, whether it be GMs, whether it be NFL referees, or obviously the players or whatever else. It's a lot of cool roots here. I love it when we go back to the vaults and find these stories, especially from these people who come from our area. Really cool to see every time.
Yeah, and then Gary obviously got into coaching in the NFL. He coached a little bit in college there with Coach Steve Briggs at Susquehanna. So our thoughts and prayers go out to Gary and his family. Losing Gary was tough back in 2022. But here's a story back from 1986 with Albie Oxenrider. Take it away.
There's no doubt about it. The Williamsport Millionaires are a team to contend with in 1986. Last year, they made it to the Eastern Conference semifinals before losing to the eventual champion Dunmore Bucks. All the key starters are back from that 9-3 team, but there are problems. One of them is a lack of depth.
We're in a position now that we have to get some depth at certain positions, and we worked hard in preseason and the scrimmages that way, trying to get some depth. And we found some kids that may be able to step in there later on, but right now we're really struggling to find backup people.
No question about it. This year's Millionaires offense is rich in talent, especially the backfield duo of Greg Walker and Gary Brown. In 1985, those two combined for almost 2,400 yards. Both players are seniors. The smaller of the two is Walker, number 21. He's only 5'8", 165, but he's a proven star. He's quick, 4.45 in the 40, and he can also catch the football to give the Millionaires another option. Brown's number 23. At 5'10", 190, he has the size of a power back, but he's also very quick. He runs the 40 in 4.41. Brown's a 3-year starter and a sure bet to play Division I college. Senior Alan Eck is back at quarterback this year for the Millionaires, and with a year of playing experience under his belt, he'll be playing a leadership role in 86.
We won't know till we get in a game situation against Pottsville how good these kids are and how far they came along.
The Williamsport Millionaires, Super 16, team number 3. Albie Oxenrider, Sports Watch 16, Williamsport.
All right, pretty cool to see that, the Williamsport Millionaires, and they got a big game. Coach Pearson, he's was very friendly with all those former players and coaches. He's a Williamsport grad and now bringing the Millionaires across, I don't know if they're going to come to the interstate or across 118 and go down there to Plains and take on Wilkes-Barre. So Williamsport Millionaires, they're looking for a district title in that sub-regional. Up next, our sports finale. Each and every week, we had a lot of windy shots from James Pennington last week, and we always love featuring the finale from Week 11, and we've really enjoyed this feature story each week.
Yeah, absolutely. A chilly Week 11.
A lot of cold fans and a lot of windy, cold plays.
All right, here's the finale from Week 11 from James Pennington. All right, well, we're just getting rolling here. We got more stuff coming up. When we come back, we'll talk about Penn State and great first half against number 1 Ohio State. But in the second half, the Buckeyes able to roll. We'll talk about that when we come back. And head coach Mark Duda resigning after 32 seasons as the head coach of the Lackawanna College Falcons. We'll talk about Coach Duda and his future when we come back on the Sports Spotlight. All right, welcome back to the WNEP Sports Spotlight. Penn State, they lose to number 1 Ohio State. Final score 38-14, that game on the road. Now they face Indiana. They are team number 2 in the nation. That game is at home at noon on Saturday, and now that's 5 losses in a row in the Big Ten for the Nittany Lions. Oregon in overtime, UCLA on the road, Northwestern at home. Then Coach Franklin was fired by AD Pat Kraft. They go with Terry Smith, interim head coach. Iowa on the road. They lose that one. And then Ohio State, obviously losing that one. The defense played better in the first half. The running game was also good for a half with Katron Allen and Nick Singleton. Quarterback Ethan Grunkemeyer felt the pressure in the second half, and the Buckeyes opened things up in the passing game with offensive coordinator Brian Hartline and defensive coordinator Matt Patricia calling the defense. So a lot of buzz about Hartline. Possibly getting a crack at becoming the head coach. I would say the only way he's coming to Penn State is if he can circle the wagons inside the buildings in Columbus and bring about 8 assistants with him. And I'm not sure if all 8 assistants are coming with Brian. So the cupboard would be bare. He'd have to go find coaches from around the country if he's the coach. But Penn State played well for a half, but 5 losses in a row is tough.
That is really tough. And, they stood a chance. They gave themselves a chance in that first half. At halftime, I think, Nittany Lion fans were like, okay, all right. There's still a second half to play. I think lots of people were very doubtful. And, of course, then Ohio State rattling off 21 points there in the second half and keeping them scoreless in the second half. Another tough game. And now you're going to face Indiana this week.
Yeah, so they announced that the kick will be at noon. That game will be on Fox. They've also announced at Michigan State in a couple weeks is 3:30. So, Eve, I know you were busy all day Saturday. You were covering tennis. You were covering cross country.
So
It's a lot.
you probably didn't get a chance to watch too much of the game, but you certainly had your eyes on Penn State.
I
all season.
definitely did, and I was surprised after cross country. In between cross country and tennis, I saw that it was 17-14 and the half. I was like, oh wow, Penn State's doing great. And then afterwards, I'm like, oh, that wasn't so great after all. But what really stuck out to me in this game most of all was just 50 rushing yards on the ground for Penn State. If you have a quarterback in Ethan Grunkemeyer, very young, you need to do better than that running the ball if you're going to want to have a chance in any of these games going forward. Defensively, obviously Ohio State really hard to keep up with, but Penn State's defense, they have the guys there. It's just they haven't really been putting it together so far this season. And we talked about many times with Jim Knowles coming in, a new system, it's hard to learn, but man, they got to start running the ball better if they want to get into any of these games. It's really hard when you got a freshman quarterback trying to pass his way through a win.
So we will be at the Indiana at Penn State game coming up on Saturday. So look for some of our reports all weekend long on Newswatch 16 at 6, 10, and 11. And then obviously Sunday morning with Andy Palumbo and Ali Gallo doing the weather. And Courtney will be in all weekend, and Eve and I will be gathering as much stuff from Penn State as we can. The next big hot topic story in local college football, head coach Mark Duda announcing his retirement. He's been the head football coach at Lackawanna College. That's the Falcons, a JUCO team, 32 seasons as the head coach, and he's the active leader in the NJCAA. That's the National Junior College Athletic Association, due to 217 wins. That's a lot of wins. 25 guys from his program have signed NFL contracts, and another 450 have gotten Division I scholarships. So that's what the JUCO program's there for, get kids kind of rehabilitated with their athletics and then play at a high level a JUCO program, and that's what Lackawanna College has done under Duda for 32 seasons. Right now, currently, Tig Brown is with the 49ers, safety back there, and Jaquan Brisker with the Bears. Those guys were key parts of Lackawanna making it to the national championship games, and obviously helping out James Franklin, and now they're in the NFL and making their money. So guys like that, I'm sure, want to give Coach Duda a hug. He was dealing with some health issues, and it's been reported that Coach Duda has been diagnosed with Parkinson's. So, we wish Coach Duda, health and happiness as he moves forward, and he's going to have he has one final game on Saturday. I believe there's a Thursday night game the week after that.
Yep.
I know their
Both
schedule's
at
kind
home,
of been in flux a little bit, but he's asking all of his former players to come back on Saturday
Wow.
and support Coach.
Yeah, it'd be good. Mark Duda is the reason that there's been so much success at Lackawanna College. He's put them on the map. Great coach, great man. He not only builds up this program, but he builds up these players to become better people, better players. And Lackawanna's going to be joining the PSAC. This
Right.
was we wondered if he would still be part of that transition from NJCAA to the PSAC. Maybe, you never know. It's got to be hard. It's going to be hard for him to step away from the game.
And you were looking up some history on Mark that I was not aware of. What did you find out yesterday?
He played 5 seasons with the Cardinals. Impressive guy. Had some big plays. I'm actually waiting to hear back from NFL Films to try and get some video from him. But man, he's really done some great stuff, and we can go on and on about Mark for a while.
And then he played college football at University of Maryland, correct?
Yep.
And then high school, he's from Valley West?
Yep.
Okay.
I
wasn't aware that he was a Luzerne County
grew up
kid.
in Plymouth.
Wow.
Yep.
That's awesome.
That is
That's
awesome.
I'm sure you've run into Coach Duda over the
Yeah,
years.
definitely have. Definitely sad to hear about the diagnosis. That's obviously not great to hear, and their retirement. But like you said, though, I thought it was interesting that it comes now with the transition from the NJCAA to the PSAC. They're going to be Division II next year, like you said, Courtney. But the transition's going to be harder without Duda. They're leading their program for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Coach loved each and every player. Obviously, there was always a selective few when we go to practice. When you go to a Lackawanna College football practice, there's 120 kids in helmets, shoulder pads, and you can't see their faces. But he would have to find the 3 or 4 guys that were going to Arkansas or going to Penn State or going somewhere big. And he was really all behind each and every player, no matter where they were going to go after a couple years at Lackawanna College. But the times I was at practice and he talked about Tig and he talked about Jaquan, he's like, those guys are going to be playing on Sunday. Like he could just
he knew.
He knew. You could tell from the kids' attitude and their demeanor and their work ethic, and then obviously their athleticism and their size that they were going to be key pieces on future NFL teams.
And I was even digging through the video archives, and we had covered several signing days in like the late 90s, early 2000s with Coach Tuda, and the pride he has for all these guys who are now leaving Lackawanna to pursue their next level in D1 football, and then possibly going to the NFL. The pride he has for these kids, it's like they're his own.
And I believe they are playing the Georgia Military Academy.
Yes.
They're the number one JUCO team in the country.
Wow.
So he's going to have his hands full on Saturday. But the game is at Scranton Penn Fed Field. 1 o'clock kick. If you're not doing anything on Saturday, get over there to see Coach Tuda and wish him the best of luck in his retirement. So we certainly echo that here at WNEP, and we always appreciate, obviously, his candor and his time here with us. Well, we're almost done here. When we come back, we will go through the picks from last week, the 9 games we're going to pick this week from our 6 picks, and where we are at record-wise, and then we'll wrap this thing up here on the Sports Spotlight. Please come right back. All right, welcome back to the WNEP Sports Spotlight. Here's the 9 games we have listed to pick from. So if you want to pick at home, there's no spreads. First game, Dunmore at Lakeland, Scranton Prep at Berwick, Delaware Valley at Abington Heights, Jersey Shore at Shamokin, Troy at Warrior Run, Montoursville at Mifflinburg, Pocono Mountain East at Whitehall, Minersville at Williams Valley, Northern Lehigh at Schuylkill Haven. So we try to do 3 from each district, and then we try to put the games that we think are going to be the most competitive. We're not always correct in that. And then we pick 6 out of the 9. So I came into week 11 at 43-17, 5-1 last week. Overall record now 48-18. So here are my picks for week 12. I like Lakeland over Dunmore, Abington Heights over Delaware Valley, Shamokin over Jersey Shore, Troy over Warrior Run, Minersville over Williams Valley, and Schuylkill Haven over Northern Lehigh. Here's Courtney with her info on picks.
Good stuff there, Steve. I came into week 11 with a 46-14 record. I went 4-2 last week after a perfect week the week before. I couldn't go perfect again, unfortunately. Overall, now I'm 50-16. I'm choosing Berwick over Scranton Prep, Abington Heights over DV. I'm taking Shamokin over Jersey Shore in maybe a close one. Mifflinburg over Montoursville, Pocono Mountain East beating Whitehall, and Minersville over Williams Valley in this one.
Awesome picks, Courtney. You had a great week last week, almost 2 in a row, good undefeated weeks. I went into week 11 with a record of 49-11. Last week I went 5-1, and now I have a 54-12 overall record, still in first place as I have been this entire season. My first pick, Lakeland over Dunmore, going with Abington Heights over Delaware Valley, Shamokin over Jersey Shore, Mifflinburg over Montoursville, Pocono Mountain East over Whitehall, and I like Schuylkill Haven over Northern Lehigh.
So just to explain to everybody how we do this, on Sunday night at some point, because Eve is at home and I'm at home. Courtney's here at work, very busy here at work. So I usually try to send it out when we have a little downtime. So I'll send out, here's the 9 games, pick 6, and then I give them my picks first. So there's no chicanery. Steve's not pulling any backdoor picking thing here or whatever. So I normally throw my picks out first, and then we kind of go from there. That seems to work.
That might be working in our favor, Eve.
Sometimes it does. Sometimes I do the opposite of what Steve said.
The winner's going to get a gigantic WNEP trophy at the end of the season. We will present that. So Eve is 54-12 overall. Courtney is 50-16. And I am 48-18. Those are big numbers. I like that.
Very on brand, Courtney. 50-16.
So let's just have final thoughts, and then we'll wrap this up.
Man, I think of all of the weeks, this is probably going to be the hardest week in our picks. I think I sat on this one a little bit longer than most, which is a good problem to have, which means we're going to have some great games. We should, I think you said, at least 9 winners after this week, at the very least.
Yeah, we should have 9
least.
games less. next week unless there's some major upsets.
Yep. And man, I'm looking forward to this one especially. I think.
Yeah, a lot of good games this week. So last week, some not so good games, a lot of, lopsided games. But this week, wow, really good matchups all across the board. District 2, 4, and 11. A lot of good games. Really excited to see, how these teams fare the rest of the season here. We're getting into, it's almost state playoffs. These teams are going to be in the states playing these teams from all around these different areas, not in our area anymore. But once they get to, see the different teams from outside of our area, then you really get to see who are the really, really good teams and, what they can do.
If you look at all these teams, there's a lot of rich history with all these teams that are still playing, and certainly big name coaches on each sideline. So the game plans are going to be very prevalent, and may the best team win.
Absolutely.
All right, thanks for joining us here on the Sports Spotlight Week 12 playoff preview show. We will be back here next week talking about the upcoming games in the state playoffs for Week 13. So for Steve Lloyd, Courtney Harris, and Eve Hernandez, that's the WNEP Sports Spotlight. Thanks for joining us. Get out there and make it a great day.